The town of Farmington. Respecting history, planning the future.
It is 7:03. We will now open the regular town council meeting of December 14th, 2021. As we begin all our meetings, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Gary, you would.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Gary. We will now begin with some presentations and recognitions. The first one, recognition of Farmington firefighters' cardiac arrest save. Kathy?
I think Steve Hoffman is going to do the introductions and come on up.
All right. So we have 4 responders to recognize tonight for a cardiac arrest save that occurred back on November 4th. Deputy Chief Paul Kraus, Town of Farmington Fire Department out of Tunxis. He's joining us via Zoom. He was unable to make it tonight, but he's on Zoom. Officer John Finn, Farmington Police. And want him to come up here and stand up here, Kathy?
Yes.
Paramedic Keith Duplays, American Medical Response AMR paramedic, and EMT Christina Olander, American Medical Response AMR EMT. On November 4th, 2021, at around 0500 hours, the Town of Farmington Emergency Services were dispatched to an address for a resident experiencing chest pain. Upon arrival of the first unit, Farmington Police Officer Finn was directed to an elderly male who was alert and sitting upright in a chair. The officer began an initial assessment, to which the patient reported they were experiencing chest pain, tingling in the left arm, and felt extremely lightheaded. At that moment, the patient screamed out in pain, tensed up, and became unresponsive. A pulse was checked by Officer Finn with nothing present. Officer Finn, utilizing his training and experience, removed the patient from the chair, placed him on the ground, and began CPR. As Officer Finn provided CPR, TFFD Deputy Chief Paul Kraus, AMR Medic Keith Blaze, and AMR EMT Christina Olander arrived on scene. AMR personnel began providing advanced life support to the patient, while FD applied the Lucas device for continued high-quality chest compressions. The quick reaction of Officer Finn and the coordinated effort with FD and AMR resulted in the return of spontaneous circulation, which is a return of pulse and the patient breathing on their own. The patient was transported to an area hospital and was moved to ICU after assessment in the ER. After hearing about the incident, I felt it was important to recognize the first responders who ultimately saved a life through a coordinated team effort and a successful chain of survival. This is a testament to the quality of care provided to the town of Farmington by our emergency services, and we thank them for their continued dedication and commitment. So, Officer John Finn, Farmington Police, EMT Christina Olander, Deputy Chief Paul Kraus, who's on Zoom, and Paramedic Keith Duplays, who's on shift today and must be on tonight, right? So, I believe we have some.
Steve, CJ's going to give out the...
Oh, perfect.
Don't go too far. Okay. Okay. We'll just show this one to Paul Kraus online. Can't have it yet. But when you come to collect, you get not only your proclamation, but a commemorative Farmington cap and the all-important Farmington face mask. So congratulations. Thank
Outstanding.
you. Now you actually get the proclamation, certificate, the cap, and the face mask. Congratulations. Keith is not online either, I don't believe, so we'll forward this to him along with the cap and the face mask. Dana. Congratulations. Good work. Here's your certificate. We'll get a picture here. Okay. Your face mask and your farm. Next presentation will be for Human Rights Day and our annual award.
And Nancy Parent.
Nancy Parent will.
I am just going to introduce the presentation, and we actually have pre-recorded it because many of our Human Relations Commission members couldn't be here tonight.
Get the technology down.
It looks really good.
It's because of those Christmas carols we put on.
On behalf of Farmington Human Relations Commission, we are proud to declare December 10th International Human Rights Day. On December 10th, 1948, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, marking the first World Human Rights Day. The Declaration includes 30 articles detailing the fundamental human rights that are universally protected. Each year, the United Nations chooses a theme. This year, there were 2 themes around the world that were being celebrated. Farmington is proud to celebrate promoting human rights in the age of COVID.
The COVID-19 pandemic is a public health emergency, but it is far more. It is an economic crisis, a social crisis, and a human crisis that is fast becoming a human rights crisis. The message is clear. People and their rights must be front and center. And in all we do, let's never forget, the threat is the virus, not people. We are all in this together. The virus threatens everyone. Human rights uplift everyone. By respecting human rights in this time of crisis, we will build more effective and inclusive solutions for the emergency of today and the recovery for tomorrow.
Last year, the Farmington Human Relations Commission gave its first annual Farmington Human Rights Award. This award shall be given annually to a resident or organization who has demonstrated an outstanding commitment to furthering the promotion and protection of human rights. This year, with the topic being human rights in the age of COVID, the Farmington Human Relations Commission would like to celebrate the staff at Farmington Valley Health District. For the last 19 months, our health district has kept us informed, worked tirelessly to keep us safe, and has led our community in overseeing this health crisis. We thank you, Farmington Valley Health District. At a later date, representatives from the Human Relations Commission will present them their award in person.
Thank you, Nancy.
Still going. One more.
One more.
Resolution declaring racism a public health crisis. Whereas, racism is a social system with multiple dimensions, including 1, individual racism that is interpersonal, and 2, systemic racism that is institutional or structural and is a system of structuring opportunity and assigning value based on the social interpretation of how one looks, and whereas race is a social construct with no biological basis, and whereas racism unfairly disadvantages specific individuals and communities while unfairly giving advantages to other individuals and communities, and whereas racism is a root cause of poverty and constricts economic mobility, and whereas racism causes persistent discrimination and disproportionate outcomes in many areas of life, including housing, education, employment, and criminal justice, and is itself a social determinant of health. And whereas racism and segregation have exacerbated a health divide resulting in people of color in Connecticut bearing a disproportionate burden of illness and mortality, including COVID-19 infection and death, heart disease, diabetes, and infant mortality, and whereas Black, Native American, Asian, and Latino residents are more likely to experience poor health outcomes as a consequence of inequities in economic stability, education, physical environment, food, and access to health care, and these inequities are themselves a result of racism, and whereas many studies have linked racism to worse health outcomes, and whereas the collective prosperity and well-being of the town of Farmington depends upon equitable access to opportunity for every resident, regardless of the color of their skin. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the town of Farmington, Connecticut, that racism is a public health crisis affecting all of the United States, including Connecticut. The town shall work to progress as an equity and justice-oriented organization by continuing to identify specific activities to enhance diversity and to ensure anti-racism principles across our leadership, staffing, and contracting. The town shall promote equity through all policies and enhance educational efforts aimed at understanding, addressing, and dismantling racism and how it affects the delivery of human and social services, economic development, and public safety. The town shall improve the quality of the data it collects and the analysis of that data. It is not enough to assume that an initiative is producing its intended outcome. Qualitative and quantitative data should be used to assess inequities in impact and continuously improve. The town shall continue to advocate locally for relevant policies that improve health in communities of color and support local, state, regional, and federal initiatives that advance efforts to dismantle systemic racism. The town shall work to solidify alliances and partnerships with other organizations that are confronting racism and encourage other local, state, regional, and national entities to recognize racism as a public health crisis. The town shall use community efforts to amplify issues of racism and engage actively and authentically with communities of color wherever they live. The town shall create clear goals and objectives to assess progress and capitalize on opportunities to further advance racial equity. Dated this 14th day of December, 2021, C.J. Thomas, Farmington Town Council Chair.
Thank you. We will now move on to our next proclamation, which is for Chris Fagan. Join me there. As is our practice, when we have outgoing council members, we like to recognize them for all the hard work they've put in over the course of their tenure. Chris joined us 2 years ago from the Board of Education as a former chair of the Board of Education. and has been an invaluable asset to the town council throughout these 2 years, bringing a great experience and history from the Board of Education and from his outside life in general as an attorney, and has been very helpful. And I have appreciated all the support and wisdom Chris has offered throughout these past 2 years. With that, I will read Chris's proclamation. Whereas Christopher Fagan has served on the Farmington Town Council from 2020 to 2022, and whereas Christopher Fagan has served on the Board of Education from 2014 to 2020, 4 of those years as chair. And whereas Christopher Fagan has served as a member of the Farmington High School Building Committee from 2019 to 2021, which was charged to address the needs of the high school facility with a comprehensive solution. Whereas Christopher Fagan has served as the Town Council liaison to the Board of Education and Green Efforts Committee. And whereas over the last 2 years, Christopher Fagan was active in leading the town through a global pandemic while ensuring the town's services continued to be delivered at a high level. And whereas during this worldwide pandemic, Christopher Fagan was instrumental in the passing of a referendum for the new Farmington High School, which is the largest project in town history and was overwhelmingly supported by the Farmington residents. And whereas Christopher Fagan has always maintained a focus on the public good and acted to protect the public interest over private interests while donating countless hours of time, energy, and personal commitment to better our community and enrich the lives of the residents of the town of Farmington. And whereas, in addition to his long-standing commitment to the town, Christopher Fagan's true devotion lies with his loved ones, including his wife Patty, his son Brendan, and his daughter Kate. Now, therefore, the Farmington Town Council hereby commends Town Council member Christopher Fagan for his excellent work on behalf of the community, and we hereby thank him for his selfless dedication and immeasurable contributions and commitment to the town of Farmington and its residents. The Farmington Town Council hereby extends to Chris Fagan best wishes in his new endeavors. Dated this 14th day of December, 2021 at Farmington, Connecticut, C.J. Thomas, Farmington Town Council Chair.
Thank you, CJ, and CJ's just admonished me, as he usually does, that I got to keep it short, right? So, but I expressed a lot of personal thoughts at a reception we just had before now. So I just like to say, very quickly, it's been an absolute pleasure during my tenure serving the town of Farmington, both as board member, education board member, the chair, and now on town council. It's been a distinct honor and pleasure to serve with you, CJ, my fellow council members, Kathy, your entire administration. And over that time of involvement, you realize that there's been a lot of great leaders in Farmington, accomplished a lot of great things that brought us to where we are today. And as I said in my earlier comments, it's nice to know that, when I'm leaving today, I can look back and just saying with the passage of the high school project, we really accomplished a lot of great things, and we set this town up for great things going forward, multi-generational, decision-making that is just going to make this community even better than it is today. And I feel confident that we achieved great things. And I look forward to taking some time off. I just say that my wife did say, you're not saying goodbye, you're just saying see you later. So don't quote me on that. But, I just hope, again, wish the council, CJ, the incoming council, and including Rafina, Johnny, and Keith, the best of luck going forward. I have the utmost confidence we're going to keep accomplishing great things here in town, so thank you very much.
You can go back and come back down again. Gary, if you will join me down at the DS, or the podium. What are we going to call it, Mike? Gary has been a tremendous asset this past 2 years. Gary, as I'll read through the proclamation, was a previous member of the town council, and we encouraged him to rejoin us this past 2 years, and has been part of what I consider a tremendous team. All these people you see up here working so hard through the global pandemic. to get us where we got and to accomplish what we have. With that, the proclamation reads, whereas Gary Palumbo has served on the Farmington Town Council from 2016 to 2018 and from 2020 to 2022, and whereas Gary Palumbo has served as an alternate on the Zoning Board of Appeals from 2014 to 2016, and whereas Gary Palumbo has served as the Town Council liaison to the Economic Development Commission, Housing Authority, Joint Town of Farmington City of Hartford Committee, and the Library Board. And whereas Gary Palumbo is an active member of the Farmington community as a member of UNICO and an officer in the Knights of Columbus. And whereas over the last 2 years, Gary Palumbo was active in leading the town through a global pandemic while ensuring town services continued to be delivered at a high level. And whereas during this worldwide pandemic, Gary Palumbo was instrumental in the passing of a referendum for a new Farmington High School, which is the largest project in town history and was overwhelmingly supported by the Farmington residents. And whereas Gary Palumbo has always maintained a focus on the public good and acted to protect the public interest over private interests while donating countless hours of time, energy, and personal commitment to better our community and enrich the lives of the residents of the town of Farmington. And whereas, in addition to his long-standing commitment to the town, Gary Palumbo's true devotion lies with his loved ones, including his wife, Amy, his son, Anthony, and his daughter, Deanna. Now, therefore, the Farmington Town Council hereby commends Town Council member Gary Palumbo for his excellent work on behalf of the community, and we hereby thank him for his selfless dedication and immeasurable contributions and commitment to the town of Farmington and its residents. The Farmington Town Council hereby extends to Gary Palumbo best wishes on his new endeavors. Dated this 14th day of December 2021 at Farmington, Connecticut. C.J. Thomas, Farmington Town Council Chair.
I'd like to thank everybody tonight for coming out. It's been a pleasure serving on the board. We've all worked well together. We've had our high points, our low points. The COVID was unbelievable. We started out Zooming. We ended up with masks. We ended up with dividers in between. But we all came out on top, and we licked this thing. We just got to keep on pushing forward. But I'd like to give a great shout out to the gentleman, that PD that came out and saved that person. And the fire department does an exceptional job here. My son was a part-timer at Tunxus. Mr. Krausen was out to dinner. My son was out to dinner. The code went off. They both looked at each other, 2 separate tables. They both ran out. Everybody was sitting down, looking at each other, and saying, "Oh, we got to keep on eating." But that's just the way it is. These guys they just step above and beyond. But I'd like to thank everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Third Council, Peter. Peter also took a little arm twisting to get to rejoin us on the council this past 2 years. I promised him he'd have more fun than the first term. I'm not sure whether I lived up to that promise or not. It was exciting, but I don't know whether fun's exactly the word to use. And the proclamation reads, whereas Peter Masterbatista has served on the Farmington Town Council from 2014 to 2018 and from 2020 to 2022, in which he was acting chair, and whereas Peter Masterbatista has served as an alternate on the Town Plan and Zoning Commission from 2010 to 2012, and whereas Peter Masterbatista has served as chairman of the Land Acquisition Committee, Retirement Board, and Gateway Committees, and whereas Peter Masterbatista has served as the Town Council liaison to the Town Plan and Zoning Commission, the Joint Town of Farmington City of Hartford Committee, and whereas Peter Masterbatista has served on the Parsons Ad Hoc Committee and the Legal Services Ad Hoc Committee, and whereas Peter Masterbatista is an active member of the Farmington community, having served as a longtime member and past assistant chief of the Farmington Volunteer Fire Department, And whereas over the last 2 years, Peter Masterbatista was active in leading the town through a global pandemic while ensuring town services continued to be delivered at a high level, and whereas during this worldwide pandemic, Peter Masterbatista was instrumental in the passing of a referendum for a new Farmington High School, which is the largest project in town history and was overwhelmingly supported by the Farmington residents. And whereas Peter Masterbatista has always maintained a focus on the public good and acted to protect the public interest over private interests while donating countless hours of time, energy, and personal commitment to better our community and enrich the lives of the residents of the town of Farmington. And whereas in addition to his long-standing commitment to the town, Peter Masterbatista's true devotion lies with his loved ones, including his wife Laura and his daughters Emma and Lily. Now, therefore, the Farmington Town Council hereby commends Town Council member Peter Masterbatista for his excellent work on behalf of the community, and we hereby thank him for his selfless dedication and immeasurable contributions and commitment to the town of Farmington and its residents. The Farmington Town Council hereby extends to Peter Masterbatista best wishes on his new endeavors. Dated this 14th day of December, 2021 at Farmington, Connecticut, C.J. Thomas, Farmington Town Council Chair.
I'll just keep it short and sweet. I love serving on this commission. We do great work, or we have done great work in the last couple of years. And I just want to thank Kathy and her staff again for all the great work they do and the great work that they do to support us on the council. A lot of great achievements again. I'll just reiterate what I said before. We got a new high school coming, which is wonderful. We got through COVID very well, I think, this community. And moving forward, Farmington will always be strong. We're a wonderful community, and this next council, I'm sure, will do great work, just as this one did. I'm kind of glad to see I'm going out with my fire guys in the audience here. It's good to see you. Maybe I'll come back. I don't know. 2, 3 in the morning's tough. But thank you, Town of Farmington, for electing me 3 times. It means a lot to me. I think I did good work for this town, and I'll always be here for Farmington. This is a wonderful community, absolutely wonderful. So on that note, we'll see you guys around. Thanks.
Gary and Chris, can you come back down? Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the indulgence. Who would have thought that the guy from the legislature would have the shortest proclamations, but these will be short. I cannot improve on the good words that were said about all these gentlemen, so I won't even try. I will just say that, and I've said this before, as a former council member myself, I'm always impressed at the quality of the people that we get here in Farmington to serve on the council. It is a job that does not pay. It does not have any benefits except for the goodwill and the gratitude of the people that you serve. And hopefully that is payment enough. Because, as a former member myself, I recognize that even though there are some rough spots, which were referred to earlier, in general, almost overwhelmingly, the people of this town appreciate the work that the council members do, and that's your payment, is their gratitude. Anyhow, I want to show my gratitude on behalf of the state of Connecticut for the work that you gentlemen have done. So I will read one rather than read all 3, just in the interest of time. So from the State of Connecticut General Assembly official citation, introduced by Representative D'Amico, Representative Exum, Senator Slapp, and Senator Lopes. Be it hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Peter Masterbatista, Christopher Fagan, Gary Palumbo, in recognition of your faithful and dedicated service as a member of the Farmington Town Council. The residents, businesses, and institutions of Farmington and Unionville are the beneficiaries of your thoughtful stewardship. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success. Given on this 14th day of December 2021 at the State Capitol in Hartford, and it's signed by Martin Looney, President Pro Tem of the State Senate, Matthew Ritter, Speaker of the House of Representatives, and Denise Merrill, Secretary of the State. Congratulations and thank you to all three of you.
Our final proclamation of the evening, Paula Ray. Paula Ray has been the town clerk as long as I've been volunteering in town, which in the big picture is not that long, but Paula has been tremendous. I've served on a number of different councils and a number of different capacities within the town, and Paula is always the go-to source for information, for helping us keep our meetings on track and run properly. If we have questions about appointments coming up, Paula has all that information. She's done a tremendous job in her 20-plus years here, and with that, I will read Paula's proclamation. Whereas Paula Ray has served as the Farmington Town Clerk from the year 2000 to 2021, and whereas Paula Ray served as a member of the Board of Education from 1993 to 2001 and as Vice Chair from 1995 to 2001, whereas Paula Ray has served as Vice President of the Hartford County, Assistant Secretary and Secretary of the Connecticut Town Clerks Association, and as a member of the Board of the New England Association of Cities and Town Clerks, and whereas Paula Ray has been involved in numerous committees for the Connecticut Town Clerks Association, including the Education Committee, Bylaws, Membership, Legislative, and the Executive Board, and whereas Paula Ray's numerous duties as town clerk include, but are not limited to, managing the records of land record documents, conducting all elections, the registration of vital statistics, issuing of licenses and permits, and serving as clerk of the town council. And whereas Paula Ray has attended and then prepared the minutes of over 400 town council meetings, and whereas Paula Ray established the town of Farmington's Record Management Center at the Water Pollution Control Plant and has assisted all departments in their department records, management responsibilities, and whereas, in addition to being town clerk, Paula Ray is an active member in the Farmington community, having served as President and Vice President of the Farmington Community Chest, President and Vice President of the Friends of the Library, Secretary of the Veterans Memorial Committee, and a steward for the Farmington Land Trust. And whereas, in addition to her long-standing commitment to the town, Paula Ray's true devotion lies with her loved ones, including her husband, Kevin, her 3 children, and 5 grandchildren. Now, therefore, the Farmington Town Council hereby commends Town Clerk Paula Ray on her excellent work on behalf of the town and the community, and we hereby thank her for selfless dedication and immeasurable contributions and commitment to the town of Farmington and its residents. Farmington Town Council hereby extends to Paula Ray best wishes in her well-deserved retirement. Dated this 14th day of December 2021 at Farmington, Connecticut, C.J. Thomas, Farmington Town Council Chair.
I just want to thank the Town Council and Kathy for this wonderful recognition. I've truly enjoyed serving the town of Farmington as town clerk in my years on the Board of Education. Being a volunteer and a professional for the town has been truly rewarding and a growing experience for me. But most of all, I want to thank the citizens of the town of Farmington for trusting me and electing me to do these services for them. And I will always appreciate that and always try to be an active member of the community.
So in this citation, it references institutions of Farmington, and I have to say, Paula, you yourself are an institution of Farmington. So it's my pleasure to honor you along with everyone else tonight. So from the state of Connecticut, General Assembly official citation introduced by Representative D'Amico, Representative Exum, Senator Slapp, and Senator Lopes. Be it hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Paula B. Ray in recognition of your 2 decades of dedicated service as Farmington's town clerk. As the duly entrusted keeper of Farmington's vital records, you have preserved your town's past, organized its present, and prepared for its future. The residents, businesses, and institutions of Farmington and Unionville are the beneficiaries of your thoughtful and diligent stewardship. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success. Given this 14th day of December 2021 at the State Capitol in Hartford, and it's signed by Martin Looney, President Pro Tem of the Senate, Matthew Ritter, Speaker of the House, and Denise Merrill, Secretary of the State. Again, Paula, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, our next item is item D, public hearing. Having none. Moving on to E, new items, none. We will.
Yes.
Oh, excuse me.
Hold up.
Item E.
Yes, I'd like
F.
to make, ready? I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to add agenda item L18 under appointments.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Can I ask what L18 is?
That's a good question.
It is a appointment for the Farmington High School Building Committee.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Any other new items?
No.
Okay, hearing none. Moving on to item F, public comment. And I will remind you, if you would please state your name and address and try and keep your comments to 5 minutes in the interest of the other folks online. With that,
Tim Kelly, 62 Westview. I want to first congratulate the honorees this evening. Their accomplishments are tremendous, and you know, I have to say, probably most people don't fully appreciate the number of hours they put in servicing the town. So we do appreciate and thank them for that. Well, as we kind of roll through the holidays here, before you know it, it'll be the new year and time to start building budgets for the next fiscal year. And it's hard to believe it's only been 6 months since we passed the FHS building referendum. But I think at this point, it's helpful to go back and just remember that as part of that process, you know, we did commit to the Farmington taxpayers that we would keep annual operating budgets below 3% going forward. And that was part of the tax impact and financial statement that we presented to the community. And I think that messaging was pretty consistently shared across both parties as well as everybody in between. But having worked for various organizations, I do know that from time to time, institutional amnesia can kind of set in. So it probably would be a good idea at some point to offer somewhat prescriptive targets to the various departments as they look towards their planning for the new fiscal year. And I would certainly start with the largest department and then work my way down from there. And I think that would be a good way to set expectations as we roll forward into the next year. Thank you.
thank you, Tim. Any other members of the public that are here in person? Seeing none. Do we have any members of the public online?
Yes, we have a few hands up. First, we have Jay Tulin.
Jay, you have the floor.
Hello. I just want to make sure you can hear me.
We can.
Okay. So I have a few thank yous and a congratulations. My first thank you goes to a non-Farmington resident, and that's my stepson, who, and this is kind of a joke, who finally figured out the problem with my computer. So I actually am speaking to a microphone and do not have to call into meetings anymore. So I'm very thankful to I'm very thankful to my stepson for figuring that out when he was here with his family from Maryland during Thanksgiving. Anyway, I do have a few quick thank yous, and they will be quick. The first is to Paula. I sort of reached out to her after I heard about her retirement, but I can't let this opportunity go without saying this publicly. When we first moved into town, one of the first things that happened was getting a marriage license for my bride Cheryl and I, and Paula helped me through that process. And then in the continuing 4 years that I've lived in Farmington, I've reached out to her on a number of occasions, and she's always gotten back to me with information. And I appreciate that. So I thank you, Paula, for that, and congratulate you on your retirement. Also, thank you to the three outgoing council members for your work for the town. It doesn't go unnoticed, believe me. So thank you to Peter, Gary, and to Chris. Chris, one of these days we're playing golf.
Okay, I'll take you up on that, Jay.
I appreciate that. Hopefully I'll play better than I did this summer. Anyway, the last thank you is I guess on behalf of the Human Relations Commission. Thank you to, of course, Nancy Parent and to Ann Newberry and Donna Mambrino for working together to put together that presentation. And congratulations to the Farmington Valley Health District staff for the work that they did to get us all through the process of COVID. Even though I don't think it's really over, they did great work, and it's very appreciated. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jay, and I will give you a thank you for your last comment of the year being concise and well within your time range.
Our next speaker is Jack Kemper.
Jack, you're on.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Good. My name is Jack Kemper. I'm at 132 Lovely Street in Unionville, and I'm a board member of the Farmington Historical Society. And I just wanted to talk a couple minutes about what the FHS is doing. Our organization received in crates and in a trailer the Phineas Lewis House, which was the old historic house that is where the Berkshire Bank is now. We got that in 2016. In 2018, the society raised the money and bought number 1 Mountain Spring Road, which is the house directly across the street from where the Phineas Lewis House was, with the thought that we would love to rebuild the house as a historic museum house, visitor center. That's what we've been working on since 2018. We've worked through several planners and several staff members of the town on this. We are been part of, we would like to be part of whatever happens with the Parsons property next door. We understand that's nearly negotiated. I don't know the whole exactly where it is now with the state. We're actually fairly neutral on what happens with the property as long as, we get a say in it. And our property, number 1 Mountain Spring Road, came with a 100-foot easement on sort of a 100-foot easement from the property line between 1 Mountain Spring Road and on the Parsons property, which I think was put into place by the people that sold the property to the Parsons to enlarge the dealership. So what we are looking for in the development of that property is access from Backage Road And we're actually looking for a little triangle easement at the front, and you would get technical with the you'd have to go look at the property maps, but there's a triangle of property that would help us achieve what we want to do. And I'm just really kind of wanted to say that we would like to be involved, and we're not really sure what the process is going forward with this property. And whatever it is, there was a committee there that was looking at the whole Farmington Gateway, and I don't know if that's still on or not. But we would like to have a seat at that table to work with the town and any consultants that are hired or whatever to develop that property. And whether it be open, a park, or some development, there was a proposal, I think that a study from the BL company several years ago that proposed quite an intensive development for that property. I know the town put an RFP. I worked with some of our clients, we're architects. Our clients found that the property really did not substantiate a large development. So it just didn't make any financial sense to them. And I think the town got no responses from that RFP to develop it. I understand that the state is selling it to the town for a very low fee as modified open space. We'd like to just state that we would like to be part of that process. And I think that we could work together very well and do something really nice for the town of Farmington there. And I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jake. Next.
Next, we have Evan Honeyman.
Evan, you're on.
Good evening. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you and good evening. And thank you all for your tireless service to our great town and for the opportunity to speak tonight. Also, my sincerest congratulations and thank you to Chris, Peter, Gary, and Paula for all of your hard work. I submitted a letter to the town council yesterday. I'm not sure if everybody can see it, but I'd like to read that into the record at this time. Dear Farmington Town Council members, this letter is written in my own capacity and not on behalf of the entire Farmington Historic District Commission. The views expressed in this letter are held by me, the Farmington Historic District Commission commissioners, residents, and business owners that have decided to sign this letter. We owe you, the town staff, and all others involved, a big thank you for the time and energy spent to research the various options for the former Parsons property. We also congratulate you all on the successful completed purchase of the property from the state of Connecticut for $1,000. After many years of research and discussion, on March 9, 2021, the town council unanimously approved the use of this property as modified open space, and we support that usage. It's our concern that if the town begins another review and RFP process, we could potentially jeopardize the town's control over what happens to the property, which we believe is a risky proposition. We strongly support local businesses as well as responsible commercial development. But it's important to note that when the town last sent out an RFP, no developers responded. As modified open space, we believe the property could take shape in various forms to serve all members of the community, including but not limited to, and in no particular order, 1, a welcome to Farmington sign, 2, rebuilding the Phineas Lewis House, 3, park benches and picnic tables, 4, parking spots, 5, a dog park, 6, limited food truck parking on a rotational basis, and 7, planted trees, shrubbery, and other landscaping. We appreciate the opportunity to share our support of using the former Parsons property as modified open space. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Evan Honeyman, Farmington Historic District Commission Chairman, Jay O'Leary, FHDC Vice Chair, Sally Hatzenbuehler, FHDC Regular Member, James Calciano, FHDC Secretary, Heather Grayling, Vivid Hue Home Business Owner, Zach Ferguson, Howler's Barbershop Business Owner, and Michelle Phelan, a Farmington Historic District homeowner. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. Kat?
There are no other hands up. Oh, there might be one. Hold on. Oh, I have one more. Portia
Okay.
Corbett.
Great. Portia, you're on.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. First, I want to thank everyone for their time that they've put into Farmington as you have over the years, and to recognize Paula Ray as being an incredible asset to the town for so many years, and also the keeper of the historic pieces and artifacts that are within the town hall itself. Paula knows where they are, what they are, and I'm hoping someone is going to pick up that baton and take care of the artifacts that are within the town hall itself, whether it be in the safe or whether it be on the wall. So I wanted to make that comment to make everyone aware of that. Secondly, as Jack said, the Historical Society, which I was the president of for a few years, has a pretty neutral view on what is happening with the Parsons property, except that we really want something to happen. And it has been just said by the gentleman before me that it is complete, but it's not complete. The way that I'm understanding is the paperwork has not been signed and not put in, and I'm wondering, where that is. And what is going to happen going forward? We had a committee, as Jack Kemper mentioned. It's defunct. I don't know if the residents have any more say in any of this on what's happening, who's making the decisions on this. But I'd like to know what's happening with that and an update. I'm hoping that you're focused on that. And I also want to ask you to focus on the property at 1 Waterville Road, and would like to know if you're being proactive on dealing with the owner developer there on what's happening with that property, because as some of the council members know or may be aware of, the new ones are not aware of, that developer owner had promised to preserve and keep 2 or 3 of those buildings. They're historically significant within our town in his plan with the development going forward. So I don't want these things to be lost. That's my comment on that. And going forward, I hope that we're proactive in the gateway of Farmington. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Portia. Kat, anyone else?
I see no other hands.
Last call for anyone out there.
They said that they're not going to be mentioned, like they mentioned.
Okay, very good. No other public comment. We will go on to item G.
I make a motion to approve the November 9th, 2021 regular town council meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Item H. Communications and written appeals.
You have the 2 written correspondence that were in your packet, and 3 other correspondence has come in after the agenda went out. One was from Evan, who just read his correspondence, and that is at your places. Another correspondence came in from Ruth Groby, which is at your place, and John Renahan, which is at your place. They will be made part of the record.
Great, thank you, Kathy. All right, with that, we'll move on to the reports of the committees. First committee, Land Acquisition Committee.
Nothing new to report.
Green Efforts Committee, nothing new to report.
I
Chris?
warned you I was going to no report you tonight on the way out the door and everything. No, Green Efforts, we met December 8th. There were just a couple discussion points of the anti-idling issues and signage at the schools. There's been a decision to sort of put that on hold right now, given sort of the pressures on the transportation issues and parents dropping their kids off. It may not be well received, and there was some discussion as having the kids getting to assign development contest by the students. So that's on hold right now.
There's just some discussion, additional discussion about committee goals for 2022, and those would involve trash reduction, land and natural resource projects, inclusive community projects, trash reduction, I said, partnering with the Racial Equity Committee to discuss social and environmental justice implications of trash removal and a car charging station in Farmington and municipal composting. So that's going to be 2022 in a nutshell, and that's it.
Great, thank you, Chris. Farmington High School Building Committee.
Yes, we last met on December 1st. And there was a fair amount discussed and dealt with at that time. We continually get updates from our various representatives, from our owner's rep, just a sort of a reaffirmation that everything's going well with the state in terms of the OSGR discussions and everything's moving along there. The architect report provided us information on the meeting that was held before the ZBA last night in terms of the variance they were seeking for the height, and that was unanimously approved last night. So that was going for last night. They're on track with their designing. February, we're going to conclude the design development, and hopefully in the summer, the construction documents will be presented to the state. We're working with the construction manager on cost estimations, and there will be some updates on that in terms of reconciling all the cost estimations at this point in time, and that will be at tomorrow night's meeting. Construction manager updated us in terms of just pre-construction schedules. They're working on those, and that will be presented again tomorrow night. And just site work and issues that we're going to be developing for the summertime. And communications is going forward and just going to remain active.
Great, thank you, Chris. Racial Equality Task Force.
Yes. The task force met on November 29th. At the meeting, the task force heard a presentation from the Affordable Housing from Nancy Parent and discussed ways to assist in Farmington's efforts to increase affordable housing. They are also currently planning their next community conversation, which is scheduled for January 26th. It will be held over Zoom, and the topic would be Courageous Conversations. The task force website's Diverse Farmington was presented in November meeting, and the subcommittee is hopeful to have that website live before the end of the year. And our next meeting, again, is on January 31st.
Thank you, Joe. Item 5, American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA Ad Hoc Committee. We have no report at this meeting. Update you as we have a report. Item J, reports of the council chair and liaisons. We begin with the council chair. I will start with, since there were a few questions and or comments at the beginning from public comment on the Parsons Corner. Back in March, I believe it was, this council, after hearing that there was no interest and no responses to our RFP, that we would move forward with a modified open space plan for the Parsons Corner. We voted unanimously on that. The intent, by doing that, we are acquiring the property for $1,000 from the state. I believe we're still waiting on the final deed to come through. Is that right, Kathy?
Yes.
They have said it is imminent, but we are awaiting that final paperwork to come through. So I will, with that in mind, just take a quick poll, because we've had comments fairly recently about interest in developing it. These are from individuals who said that. So I just want to take a quick poll down the line. We all unanimously approve this as being open space. So this is modified open space. Excuse me. This is just an informal poll, but I'd like to ask, does everyone still believe that's the right thing to do? Brian?
May I make a comment based on what we discussed in our last meeting when we discussed this? We did agree to that, absolutely, and who does not want to support open space when that appears to be the option at the moment? But we did have the caveat that should we find someone who is interested in developing that space, that we could pursue with the state the opportunity to develop it, pay for it, and make some kind of a modification if we wanted to. So that being said, I think the one thing that was missing this time around when we had our meeting, our committee meeting, and I was on that committee, was that we did not really engage the community during that decision-making process. And that's what I'm hearing the most about, is that people wanted to be in the community, wanted to be involved in that process and hear more information as we went through that process, and that sadly was lacking, I think. certainly to their satisfaction. I know we did our best efforts, and I really applaud the town, Kathy, you and your staff, in pursuing this to the best we could at the time. But I think there's still such a demand for not having open space in that particular space, because we all want open space in Farmington. It's what makes it bucolic and wonderful. But I think in the center of the village, where the public said they wanted to see some type of economic development and engagement in that piece of property, and we may not have had the opportunity to have someone answer to the RFP. And I could be wrong, but I think we could have given people more time to respond to the RFP, because they only had a couple of days to do that. And I'm wondering if we'd given them more time to respond to an RFP, I think it was like less than a week, could we have found someone or had the opportunity to have people find that opportunity and possibly provide an RFP? And might we want to reconsider submitting another RFP and giving people more time to respond to the RFP, to express their interest, and actually put together a plan for engaging with the town to do that? And I would love to see that happen if that's what the town, and I mean the public, would like to see happen. Because certainly as a committee member, that's what we said we wanted to see, and I would love to see that happen. It's great that we have the potential for open space at the moment, but if we could develop the center of town and make it attractive to businesses and community to come there, that would really be a wonderful thing.
A couple of things I'll comment on. Yes, the agreement does allow us at some future point to potentially develop this property. If that were to occur in the future, we would be subject to whatever the market value of the property is at that place in time. That being said, it sounds to me, Brian, that your interest would be not modified open space at this point in time.
Well, when we say modified open space, what does that actually mean?
No development.
Well, then I would love to modify that so that there's a
that's
potential.
Good. That's all.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so I agree with kind of what Brian was saying in terms of what we were voting on. Yes, we voted for the modified development, modified open space, with the caveat of if something, there was a proposal for development that we would consider that. I'm certainly of the I'm certainly open to, if we did have a proposal come forward, a development proposal, if we did reopen it for RFP and something came through, I'm always open to exploring all the possibilities. That's always been my approach here on the town council. So if something else did come up, and I would be open to us reviewing that.
Great.
And one other thing is, I do think it's important that we do keep the character of our town, whatever we do with the Parsons property. I think it's important to maintain that, our character of Farmington in that area.
Great. Chris?
I would just maintain it modified open space at this point in time, CJ.
Thank you. Peter?
I agree. Maintain it as the modified open space at this point.
Joe?
I'm also saying with the modified open space, hearing from all the town planning and zoning issues from Farmington Avenue to the medical corridor, and now over to Unionville with bringing in apartments or shops. I think, that the people I have spoken to would like to keep it, open space, and as we discussed originally.
Great. Gary?
Modified open space.
Okay. Again, just an informal poll right here. I think when the new council convenes, since we do not even have the final deed on this parcel of property, when the deed comes in, if the new council wants to revisit the concept of sending this back out to an RFP, having more community meetings and drawing more of the community in, it will probably push off any potential construction of the Phineas Lewis house or anything else on that property. I would guess a year or two. But if that's what the council feels, we'll go forward with that in that manner. We can discuss this. I would leave that up to the new council, though, to make that decision, since we have some new people and some new voices coming in. So we'll leave that. Yes.
Could I just want to make sure that there wasn't inaccuracy stated.
Sorry.
So, Brian, you did state that the RFP was out for a few days. The RFP,
I was asking that because.
No, you didn't
Yeah.
say. You
Okay.
said
No.
that
Yes,
out
I
a
was
few
asking.
days.
I think it was out for like 5 days. You're right.
Yeah, and the RFP was posted on December 10th, 2019, and it was due January 31st, 2021. So I think that's 30 days, 30 plus another 2 weeks. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. It wasn't 4 or 5 days.
And just as an aside, there are adjoining properties there. If this is modified open space, all the adjoining properties and the Jonestown properties would certainly still be available for any type of development. It would just be this, we're talking about 3 acres, and I believe one of those 3 acres, or 30%, is the right-of-way that Mr. Kemper was speaking about earlier. So you're talking about a potential 2 acres for development. So again, that'll be something we'll bring up with the next council, but at this point, I just wanted to get the temperature of the councilman. Beyond that, I would like to thank all my fellow councilmen sitting up here right now. It has been, at best, a challenging 2 years. I think we have done a tremendous job of working together for the betterment of the town of Farmington. You know, we've had some nice debates and discussions up here, but at the end of the day, of the hundreds of votes we took throughout these past 2 years, all but 2 were unanimous. So we all could come together at the end of the day to do what we felt was in the best interest of the town, and I want to thank you all for working together so well. I don't know that there's ever been as cohesive a town council as this one, and what a critical point in our town and frankly the world's history with the pandemic for that to happen. So again, my heartfelt thanks for you all, and for the 3 of you that will no longer be joining us. You will certainly be missed. It's been a pleasure working with all of you. So thank you for that. And then just to all the public, the citizens of Farmington and Unionville, I'd like to wish you all a tremendous holiday, safe more than anything else. Enjoy your families, enjoy your friends, and be well. With that, I will move on to the Board of Education liaison. Chris.
Thank you, CJ. Not a terrible amount to report on. First, there were a couple recognitions for Christy Bruker, who is stepping down from the board, and Ellen Sayuda, who should be recognized for her decade plus of involvement on the board, and most recently as chair, again during very challenging times. The meeting schedule was approved. The 2022-2023 calendar was approved. There's various policy updates, and just some engaged collaborative learning presentations, and the budget update, which they're in full budget prep cycle for this coming year, February. There's challenging issues surrounding substitute teacher shortage, with the pay increases and inability to fill positions, and the bus contract will be coming up for negotiations, and that's about it.
Great, thank you, Chris. Economic Development Commission liaison.
Yes, the Economic Development Commission met on November 10th, as well as December 8th. So over the past few years, Unionville businesses have inquired about signage to draw attention to the many businesses in Unionville Center. Rose Ponte, our Economic Development Director, has been working with Bruce Sear on signage designs that could be used in Unionville Center. Rose presented the various designs that were developed by the SLR. A joint meeting between the ADRC and Unionville Historic District Commission is scheduled, and they will be presented with various designs and asked for their input regarding the directional signage to be installed at the pedestrian crossings in Unionville. And these signs will draw trail users to various amenities found in Unionville Center. The commission also approved a positive referral for Anpurna LLC at 6 Park Pond Place. This is a specialty Indian grocery market, and its location's right behind that mobile gas station in Unionville Center, right next to the entrance to the suburban park. And the next EDC meeting is scheduled for January 12th at 5:30 p.m.
Great, thank you. Farmington Historic District Commission.
Thank you. The last Historic Commission meeting was just prior to this meeting. So there were a couple of things that were discussed. Let me just get to that. There was an an application for Ms. Porter's, and there was a second application to replace signs. I missed I was not available for the first discussion about Ms. Porter's school, so I don't know what the outcome was of that. There was a second one to replace a sign at 12 Brickwalk Lane that was tabled. We talked about expanding the historic district expansion, the area, the number of historic houses in the historic district. That was tabled because they wanted to explore more opportunities to invite people to join the historic district. So I would like to ask people in the historic district, on behalf of the commission, if you would be interested in having your house in the historic district, please contact me or someone on the historic commission. Minutes were approved, and then there was the election of officers. Mr. Honeyman was re-elected as the chair, and I can't tell you who the vice chair or secretary was because I started receiving, I had to take some phone calls. So, but we do have a new elected seat, so we're all set to move forward, and everyone is very willing, as up here. We may have plastic dividers, but we're not divided, and neither are they. They're working together, and that was reflected as well. So I just wanted to share that as well.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Housing Authority.
Housing report.
Human Relations Commission.
Yes, the HRC met on November 22nd. Gary Gross, New Horizons for Resident and the Citizens Coalition for Equal Access co-chair, addressed the commission on CC Equal A, recent advocacy efforts. Our next meeting is January 24th, and Assistant Town Manager Kat will discuss the Village Center project status.
Thank you. Library Board.
Yes. Main library will be open from 1 to 4 on Sundays from January 9th to April 24th. That's it.
Great, thank you, Gary. Town Plan and Zoning Liaison.
Nothing new to report.
Unionville Historic District Commission.
Yes, the Unionville Historic District Commission met on December 2nd. Election of officers took place. Lisa Johnson will serve another term as chairwoman, and Bob Hoffman will serve another term as vice chairman. The commission reviewed their list of potential properties for expanding the district. Sounds like similar thing is going on in the Farmington Historic District. And the next meeting is scheduled for January 6th at 7 p.m.
Great, thank you. Unionville Village Improvement Association.
Nothing new to report, thanks.
Thank you. Water Pollution Control Authority.
Nothing new to report.
Okay, have I missed any liaisons? No. We will now move on to the report of the town manager.
You have the written report in front of you. I'll just highlight a few items that our Farmington High School building project has won an award, a gold award. And this award is for community engagement and communication campaigns prior to the referendum. The Mercury Awards recognizes outstanding creative and strategic excellence demonstrated in 2021 by a wide variety of agencies, companies, colleges, nonprofits, and organizations across America. Tall Timbers Marketing LLC, the marketing and communication consultant for the Farmington High School project, submitted the Farmington High School building project for this award. So that was great news that the project won an award for the community engagement. The second item is Russ Arnold won the Golden Acorn of the Year Award, and that came from Charter Oak State College. And I'm glad Russ isn't here because he would be embarrassed that I was telling about this. But
Yeah,
I do feel I want to say something about it. Because we were both really pleased by it. Is that one of our maintainers who just finished up at Charter Oak State College nominated Russ, and is in his nomination, he said, "The reason is simple as they care for their employees and treat them better than I have seen any boss treat their employees. For example, during the pandemic, when we had many issues, some personal in nature and very intense, the boss handled these situations with the employees top of mind. From providing grief counselors at a moment's notice during a crisis, ensuring paid time off was available to a new hire, and just providing remarkable support to all affected and infected by COVID. All of this, and my boss in the town fully supports and recommends higher education training for every employee. As employees, we are encouraged to strive to be better through higher education. As an individual, should consider themselves lucky to have Russ Arnold as a boss and work for the town of Farmington." So that was really great that Russ received that award.
Here, here.
And Russ, if you're listening, sorry.
But not sorry.
Oh, we'll embarrass him after the meeting.
Yeah. We also got a Community Chest Grant Award, so thank you to the Community Chest for some AEDs and some cabinets down at Tungus Mead. So thank you to the Community Chest for that, and for the Fire Department and the Recreation Department for working with that. And lastly, we have more good news that on the State Election Enforcement Commission decision on June 7th, 2021, the State Election Enforcement Commission received a complaint that the town of Farmington, by its agents, violated a general statute by using public funds to promote the passage of a new high school. The town submitted a response to the alleged violations on July 22nd, 2021. On November 17th, 2021, after completing an investigation, the State Election Enforcement Commission determined that all allegations were not supported by facts or the law, and the complaints were dismissed. So that was good news, too. So that's all for my manager's report.
Okay, any questions, comments on the manager's report? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the town manager's report.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Appointments, Peter, I think you start.
Yep. Agenda item L1, that Dave Trombley be appointed to the Building Code Board of Appeals for the balance of a 5-year term, beginning immediately and ending September 30th, 2026. A little background on Dave. Dave and his wife Marge are 20-plus year residents of Farmington. They live in the Westwoods area of town, and their daughter is a graduate of Farmington High School. Dave is an executive with a health insurance company.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Agenda item L17, I make a motion to Michelle Phelan be appointed to the Farmington Historic District Commission for the balance of a 5-year term beginning January 2nd, 2022 and ending September 30th, 2022. And a few things on Michelle. Michelle resides in the Farmington Historic District. She is a history buff and is a past treasurer of the Farmington Historical Society.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Brian?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Sure.
We all want what is best for the interests of Farmington, and certainly in the Farmington Historic District as well. We want the best and most qualified people who are willing to serve. And we have a process for engaging, for grooming, and educating individuals who are willing to serve on our committees and our commissions. I serve as the liaison to the Historic District, and there's a gentleman on the commission now who serves as an alternate, who has expressed his interest to me as the liaison. I know he's reached out to us at the town council level, who is interested in serving, Ted Sanford. He served on the Farmington Historic District Commission for about 5 years. He grew up in Farmington Village and currently owns, the house that he grew up in. He has extensive background and knowledge of building materials and construction. He owns the oldest continuous business in Farmington, Sanford and Hawley, selling building materials, and that's been around for over 150 years. So that's historic. And I think it's important that we recognize that he's been an active member of that commission for a long time. And I'm curious to know, and I certainly appreciate Michelle Phelan, who's in the district, that's wonderful. But I'm wondering what her qualifications she brings to the tables that supersede Ted's ability to serve in his knowledge. And why are we not, certainly inviting her to be a member as an alternate to kind of learn the ropes and get that education so that she can be as productive a member as he is currently. And I'm just curious to ask why that's not happened.
I'd love to respond to that. The process we have used for nominating members of boards, committees, and commissions has been in place for generations. We have never had, to the best of my knowledge, or I have never heard of any questions or concerns with that process prior to last year when it was brought up by members of the Farmington Historic District Commission. They questioned the process only after they held a legal binding election on December 15th. I received a call from the past president, or current president at that time, Jay Bombara, who questioned the legality of the process they had been using for all time, as far as I know, the process written up in their bylaws. So he wanted to know if he could seek legal counsel from the town's attorney. I said, absolutely, well within your right. He did that. He sought legal counsel. Legal counsel said, absolutely, that's a legal election. You are following the bylaws of the Farmington Historic District Commission, town code, state statute, and it was his legal opinion, a professional in land use in that area. Jay Bombara then called an election, another meeting on December 31st, where that information was presented to Jay and the entire Farmington Historic District Commission. Jay said, I don't agree. Jay now is an attorney, but he also said, I am an attorney that does not specialize in that area. But I don't agree with the attorney who does. I would like to hold an election and allow alternates to vote, which in the bylaws it states clearly they do not vote. Jay Bombara himself in a previous meeting had stated, I understand alternates don't vote. Yet in this particular situation, he wanted them to vote. The acting town planner, I believe she was at that time, stated she does not agree with allowing alternates to vote, since we have the town attorney in the room who said they should not do that. He held the election after losing a legal election and declared himself winner. Somewhat Trumpian, I would say. And with that, we had to call on a second town attorney who gave then a second and a third legal opinion stating that no, alternates do not vote. It was only at that time that Mr. John Renahan questioned the process for choosing members of the Farmington Historic District Commission. The same process that thousands of people have been named to boards, committees, and commissions with, and no one until this illegal election have ever questioned that. So I would say the process has worked for years. We can always look into processes and see if there's a different way of doing things. But as to the qualifications of Mr. Ted Sanford, in my personal opinion, and I am only one vote on this council, I would never vote for someone who ignored the bylaws or were ignorant of the bylaws of a committee, commission, or council, anything that they sit on, and not knowing their bylaws, would then listen to the town's attorney, a specialist in an area, telling them, you should not vote, you're an alternate, and ignore that fact and still vote. So the basic, when we put anyone on a committee and commission, we ask them to do what's in the best interest of Farmington. Ignoring your own bylaws is not in the best interest of Farmington. That is exactly what Ted Sanford, John Renahan did in that election. So I would never support them being on that. I'm only one vote. So I think that's the answer. I would not put him on because I think when you disregard the law, your own bylaws, town code, and state statute, you should be disqualified. Unfortunately, back at that time, I felt that the Farmington Historic District Commission members understood what they were doing. And I felt after we had these discussions, and Mr. Bombara was met with his own words saying alternates cannot vote, this was on a record at a previous meeting, that the issue was put to rest. Not once over the course of any of the last meetings did anyone bring up any bylaws changes until this month, I believe, Mr. Renahan said we should look into that. If this was a very important issue, I'm not sure why he felt he needed to wait almost a year for that, but again, we're bringing it up. At that point in time, frankly, if we have people who cannot listen to their own bylaws and do not follow the town attorney, maybe the next council should look into one of two things. Either removing any member who will not agree to follow legal counsel advice unless they can find other legal advice that is contradictory, none of which was presented in any of these meetings, or maybe we should simplify the entire process and merge together the Farmington Historic District Commission and the Unionville Historic District Commission, because I've heard no issues with the Union Historic District Commission. So that would be my response, Brian.
Well, that's not really answering the question, but thank you for sharing and
It's
reiterating.
absolutely answering the question. He shouldn't be qualified because he disregarded the law.
Well, then
Any other questions?
Yes. My question is, then why did Evan Honeyman say that he nominated him and supported him in that?
I have no knowledge of that, Brian. You
Well,
know
it
I
was-
have no knowledge of that because
I
you
shared
just
that
told
with
me
you
he
earlier,
said that. I
and it
didn't
was
hear
on-
him say that. I heard
Okay.
you tell me that.
Okay.
So,
Very
any other questions or comments? Okay. Oh, sorry.
Quick.
Go ahead. Yep.
So I just want to say I do respect Ted's service on the Farmington Historic District Commission, his years of service, and his extensive background and his history with the town. And I do give weight to the fact that there are people on the Historic District Commission that wanted him to be in the move up to a full position. However, I also do recognize that it is a Republican appointment as well. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. We have a motion on the table and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
We have one opposed. Brian?
And I'm abstaining.
And Ed is
One
abstaining.
opposed, one abstaining.
Yes. Motion passes for only our third non-unanimous vote of the term. Okay, Peter.
Agenda item L18, I make a motion that Suraj Karatakote be appointed to the Farmington High School Building Committee beginning immediately for an indefinite term. Few things on Suraj. He's a biotech engineer with knowledge and experience on large-scale projects, construction of refineries, operations experience in budgeting, forecasting, risk evaluation and mitigation, skilled leadership in governance and committee meetings, a business procurement background beginning with his MBA in finance and in supply chain. He has worked in contracting and negotiating with vendors. His experience working and managing includes facilities management, IT infrastructure, and professional consulting.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
If I may, CJ, I am a direct neighbor of Suraj and provide my unqualified support for this nomination.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Seeing none. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're back to unanimous. Okay, Ed, I believe you have some.
Yeah. Do you want to start, Brian? And I'll do the others.
Sure. L7, the North Central Mental Health Board. We'd like to recommend Erica Nowakowski.
And there's some comments.
Oh, sure, yeah. Erica has a master's degree from the University of Connecticut School of Social Work. She is the Associate Director of the Town Youth Justice Institute and the University of New Haven. She also has prior experience as a case manager with Emergency Mobile Psychiatric Services.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
I'm going to ask that you send me how these names are spelled. I'm not familiar with it.
Yes.
Okay.
Next.
L8, the North Central Mental Health Board. We'd like to recommend Harry Marsh for the position. And Harry currently serves on the board, and he is a clinical social worker with a lot of experience in the field.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Okay, L10, we have the Plainville Area Cable TV Advisory Council. We're recommending Mary Jane Parlow. And Mary Jane currently serves on the board and has done a very good job there. and the Advisory Council would like to see her continue to serve. She's also Deputy Registrar of Voters.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. And L11, the Green Efforts Commission, John Vibert. John has served numerous years on the town council and currently serves as an alternate on the Town Planning and Zoning Commission. He has also done a lot of work on the Farmington Land Trust, and John has also participated many times in our annual townwide cleanup day.
I'd like to second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
And L12, Unionville Historic District Commission, nominating Barbara Marsh. Barbara currently serves as an alternate on the commission, and she has assisted the commission with various projects and events, including the walking tour, which we hope to get back to at the end of this pandemic.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Okay, I think that
Well, I'd like.
Paula, do you-
leads to Paula.
We need someone to do L 14, 15, and 16.
Okay.
No, okay, hold on.
Oh.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
I didn't know those were coming up. Okay. Agenda item L14, I make a motion that Francis Ahern be appointed as a sub-registrar for the town of Farmington for a 4-year term beginning January 3rd, 2022 and ending January 5th, 2026.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Ed?
Yep. Paula, what's the difference again between a deputy registrar and sub-registrar in terms of?
These has nothing to do with the Registrar of Voters.
Oh, okay.
These are sub-registrars for the Register of Vital Statistic for me, so they can issue burial permits when the hours of the town clerk's office is closed. Has nothing to do with the registrars of voters.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions? No, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Agenda item L15, I make a motion that Zachary Zimmerman be appointed as a sub-registrar for the town of Farmington for a 4-year term beginning January 3rd, 2022 and ending January 5th, 2026.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Agenda item L16, I make a motion Richard Kaza be appointed as sub-registrar for the town of Farmington for a 4-year term beginning January 3rd, 2022 and ending January 5th, 2026.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Agenda item N2. Agenda item N2, I make a motion to move to approve the sale of one 2001 100-foot aerial ladder fire truck, formerly known as Ladder 1, to Michael Pizzuto of Waterbury, Connecticut, for the sale price of $110,000.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Kathy?
Just that Michael Bazzuto, the owner of the Farmington Polo Ground, has expressed an interest in purchasing the apparatus and has offered a sale price of $110,000. Staff has reviewed his offer and believe that it's a fair price based on the current surplus apparatus market and the age of the truck. A portion of the funds received from the sale will be used to purchase the equipment for the new ladder.
Any other questions or comments?
What's he going to do with it? Not bad. Use it as a backup, right?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Agenda item N3, I make a motion toward a contract for the purchase of one new unused 10-code dump truck body and accessories to Equipment Specialists of East Hartford, Connecticut, at a purchase price of $105,842.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, Kathy?
This motion is to contract with a vendor to purchase a dump truck body, a dump body and accessories for a heavy dump truck cab and chassis that the town council awarded a contract for in September of 2021. Funds are in the capital budget.
Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Agenda item N4, I make a motion to ratify the tentative collective bargaining agreement, supervisor and non-supervisor, between the town of Farmington and Local 2001 CSEA SEIU for the period of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024.
Second.
A motion and a second. Kathy?
This motion covers both the supervisors and non-supervisor collective bargaining agreements. These groups represent the town's division directors and other supervisors and professional staff. It's a small group of 19 members in both units. It would be a 3-year contract from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024. Highlights of the agreement include just various language and procedural changes with no net financial impact, but are positive enhancements to the town operations. There's premium cost-sharing increases for up to 27%. Also, the RX copays have been increased. The wages are 2.25, 2.5, 2.5. The cost of this contract is $111,283 for the 3 years. This represents 2.2% each year. We were able to offset wage increases with the increased cost sharing and health insurance increases in drug copays. This unit represents our higher level managers. The contract essentially covers the basic working conditions of the unit. I think this is a fair contract, and I would recommend supporting it.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Actually, I have a question.
Yep.
No concerns or anything, but I'm just curious because I don't know the answer. We did some raises last year, which is fine, but I'm wondering if this is separate from those from last year?
They were on a contract, so they got wages.
Oh.
Yeah, they got.
Okay, so this is in addition to that. I'm just curious.
No, this is a new contract.
okay.
This is a new 3-year contract. So their last contract was I think it was a 3-year contract. So it was finishing up the last year of the third contract, which was already negotiated 3 years prior. And now this is a new contract, which will go into, last until 2024. And so in 19, their wage increase will be 2.25. In 20, it will be 2.50, and 21, 2.50.
Very good. Thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
Other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Agenda item N5, I make a motion to approve the following property tax refunds as listed below.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Before our next item, yes.
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
can I just go back quickly? I see I just saw a typo in my motion and I just said the wrong thing. This looks like the last year's where it says fiscal year 19, 20, and 21. Obviously, that was the last 3 years. It's 21, 22, and 23. If you go back to it, maybe that's why Brian was confusing, because it's
Thank you, yeah. all right.
yeah, you see what I'm saying,
Yeah.
is that it was from the last year of the motion, 19, 20, 21. It's actually, the new years are 21, 22, and 23, because you're going out 3 years, right?
Yep.
You do 22, 23, and 24.
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry.
22, 23, and 24.
23, yeah,
Paula?
24.
That's not part of the motion, that's
Good.
just the.
That's just the
Yeah.
notes, but I just wanted to make sure, because I just stated the wrong thing, so I wanted to make sure it was clear.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
All right, thank
Anything
you.
else? Okay, we will be going to executive session before we
Was there an
depart,
L18?
right? We are going to executive
Yes, we
session?
are.
Okay.
Was there an L18?
Before we depart for executive session, I will leave you with the final quote of the year, since the New Year's is upon us. Rainier Marie Rilke says, "And now we welcome the new year, full of things that have never been."
I thought they did.
Everyone, happy holidays.
And happy holidays again to everyone. I hope
Did
you
I
have
miss it? I mean, I-
health, happiness, and enjoy your families. With that, we will be moving into executive session at 8:42.